At 3 in the morning, I received a call from the anti-prostitution squad for the 199th time in my 5 years of marriage. My husband had been caught again, this time with his widow sister-in-law. When I arrived, the squad members looked embarrassed, scratching their heads. Ms. Sandler, today's team was all new recruits. They didn't know you'd asked us not to arrest Mr. Romulo and Ms. Brown before. I shook my head, my expression perfectly calm. Oliver's collar was open, a red mark at his throat, and he held the crying Zarina in his arms, soothing her relentlessly. He glanced at me with annoyance. Last time you told them in advance, didn't you? What's the point of sending them after me and Zarina today? Instinctively, I touched the scars left on my fingers from when he had snapped my nails one by one after my infamous meltdown at the police station. Sorry, it won't happen again, I replied calmly. Oliver blinked. Then, for the first time, his expression softened and tried to explain. Once Zarina gets pregnant to carry my brother's bloodline, I'll come home on time. But lately she's been unstable. I didn't even hear the rest. I stepped outside and signed the report. The squad member gave me a knowing look. He'll remember how good you are, eventually. I finally forced a smile. I didn't need him to remember how good I'd been. After all, the 5-year marriage contract sealed with $30 million was about to expire anyway. I had just gotten into my car when the rear door opened. Oliver got in with Zarina in his arms. The mixed scent of their perfumes made my stomach turn. I rolled down the window, and through the rearview mirror, I saw him frown. In this freezing weather, why open the window? Zarina is fragile. She can't catch a cold. And with that, he rolled it back up. I said instinctively, "You're really thoughtful." 3 years ago, after a single phone call from Zarina, he had left me stranded on a 6,000-meter mountain, snowstorm raging, and hadn't even bothered leaving me a coat. Later, when I got out of the ICU, he had sheepishly admitted he'd forgotten. Enough. You don't need to act all passive-aggressive. Zarina owes you nothing. If she hadn't saved my brother and me back then, you wouldn't even have a chance to marry me with the $30 million my mother gave you. Oliver raised an eyebrow. First, we're picking up the car and our things at the hotel. Then I'll drop Zarina home myself. I followed the GPS directions in silence. I didn't argue anymore about how my mother's $30 million had been tied to a promise. I didn't hint, openly or subtly, that Zarina was not as simple as she seemed. Even I hadn't realized it. He had stopped trusting me a long time ago. Oliver seemed uncomfortable with my silence. He tried to act affectionately, holding Zarina close, pretending. Zarina blushed. "Lydia, I swear I don't mean to take Oliver from you. When my episodes hit, I forget everything. Seeing him reminds me of my late husband. When I have a child, I'll stay far away from you, so you'll have time to have one of your own." I slowly let go of the steering wheel, placing my hand on my flat belly. Here, I had already lost 3 children. Oliver looked displeased. "Why are you talking like this? Can someone as clumsy as you even take care of yourself?" I was about to respond when the car suddenly braked sharply. "We're here." I rubbed my hands, still cold despite the heater, and opened the door. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him escort Zarina back to the hotel, carrying a bag full of adult toys. Zarina tossed her torn clothes aside, cheeks burning, casting subtle glances toward the direction my car had parked. When they got into his supercar, I turned the wheel and drove away. At the traffic light, Oliver unusually reached out to me. "Later, I'll go home to get some documents. Want an egg tart for breakfast?" So many times in the past, after leaving the police station, he would ask me if I wanted an egg tart. The first time, I cried through it, but today, I felt sick of it. I didn't reply. Instead, I used the last few seconds of the red light to answer my late mother-in-law's estate lawyer. "Attorney Palmer, thank you for the reminder. I haven't forgotten my agreement with Mom. I'll be there in 7 days to sign the papers on time." The wind hit me on the way home, and by the time I arrived, I felt lightheaded. Sitting half awake on the living room sofa, my fingers, still scarred